The first time I left my body, I watched my mind come back online like a machine rebooting. And I realized the thing doing the watching had never left. I'm Elyas Parsa. I'm a family medicine physician, and I specialize in altered states. And I've spent years studying what happens when we finally see the difference between who we are and what we think we are. There was wind outside of my window this morning, and it's doing what wind does, picking up a leaf, spinning it, setting it down a few feet away. That exact moment, that leaf, that gust, that particular angle of light will never happen again. I stood there watching it, and something in me loosened. See, most days, your brain doesn't catch this. It files wind under wind and moves on. Category, label, next. But every once in a while, you see through the category and touch the thing itself. And when that happens, something goes quiet. I've been thinking about what that quiet place is, because I found it once in a way I'll never forget. It was in Napa, a room full of therapists and doctors who had come to learn how to administer ketamine for therapy. I was there too, but I was also there to receive it for the first time. And when I did, I left. And that's not a metaphor. I was simply gone, weightless, watching souls waiting to descend to different worlds. Earth was among them. And in that vast, strange space, a message arrived. It didn't feel like hearing, it felt like remembering. You decided to come here. It took you longer than you know. Learn, help others grow, enjoy the ride. Now, the journey out was extraordinary, but the journey back is what stayed with me. Because I watched my mind come back online, like a computer rebooting after a crash. First came the body awareness, then came the planning, the comparing, and then the judging arrived right on schedule. And here's what I realized while I was watching all of this return. I was watching it. The one who was watching it never left. The one who was watching was never the machine. This is what meditation had been pointing to for all these years. All those hours on the cushion, all those teachers saying, "You're not your thoughts." And suddenly it wasn't philosophy, it was undeniable. The body and mind are instruments. They're not the player. I think about this when I sit with patients now. People who've been carrying trauma for decades. Someone asked me a question recently that stopped the room. They said, "Why is one person devastated after losing an entire family, while another person is completely undone by a cut on their finger? Does the size of the event determine what counts as real pain and trauma?" And my answer is no. I want to be careful here because this can sound like I'm minimizing suffering, but I'm not. Trauma isn't the event. Trauma is the labeling that follows. This shouldn't have happened to me. Why me? What will they think of me? I'll never recover from this. Those layers built from years of family conditioning, societal conditioning, cultural inheritance, personal history, those layers are what we're actually carrying. The event is over, it ended, but the story continues. And the mind wants to protect you, so it creates as many layers of conditioning to prevent the inciting event again. And here's something I want you to sit with. An unconditioned mind would experience the event and release it into the next moment. Clean, unlabeled, like the wind picking up a leaf and settling it down. No story about whether it did it right, no judgment about whether the leaf landed correctly or in the right place, just movement. Then the next, and the next moment. I'm not saying this is easy. I haven't mastered it. And even that thought, "I'll never master this," is just another label worth noticing. That's how tricky the mind is. It will turn anything, even your spiritual practice and progress, into another reason to judge yourself, another reason to narrow. Because that's where suffering actually begins. Not in what happens to us, but in the narrowing. When the lens tightens, when the only point of view that feels real is your own, when your life becomes the whole of reality. That's where suffering lives. Not in the event, in the collapse of perspective. I want you to try something with me. Just as an experiment, imagine wearing everyone's glasses all at once. Not to lose yourself, not to abandon yourself, but to expand your aperture and perspective. Seeing that right now, in this exact moment, 1,000 equally valid lenses are looking at reality. A mother in Tokyo putting her child to bed, a fisherman in Portugal watching the sun come up over the water, someone in the hospital room taking what might be their last breath, and someone else taking their first. All of them connected by something none of us can fully name. And here's what I found. Through that wider lens, the ego doesn't need to fix anything. It moves with presence, with patience, with something that starts to look a lot like love. Not attached to life, and yet willing to fight to stay. And that's the paradox. When you realize you're not the machine, you don't become passive, you become free to engage fully because you're no longer protecting something that was never in danger. The watcher is always safe. And what a relief it is to finally know that. I want to tell you something I don't share often. After that first ketamine experience, I cried for about an hour. Not because I was sad, because I had been carrying so much weight that I thought was me. And in one afternoon, I realized it was just luggage. And I could set it down. Not through willpower, not through more therapy, through finally seeing what was holding it and what wasn't. See, the wind sets the leaf down and moves on. It doesn't ask whether it did it right. There's something in that for all of us. If something in this landed today, I want you to sit with it. That feeling is information. Don't rush past it. Let it teach you something. And if you want to keep exploring this together, subscribe. I'll be here. See you in the next one.